Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Tennessee and Oklahoma. I mean, Jim, what are your first thoughts?
I try not to get on the bandwagon of we're going to just roll over Oklahoma like they're nothing, because the way the Tennessee team looks makes it seem like that, and the way the Oklahoma team has looked the past two games makes it seem like that. Oklahoma's a good football team. They're they're a top 15 team in the country. Josh Heupel's going back home. We'll see what he does with all that, and if he could, take advantage of a good opportunity here, because this is a big opportunity for Tennessee to really show that they're for real. Like I said, though, I mean, Oklahoma has been playing pretty poorly the past two games, but let's see if they show up.
Yeah. Eli, what are your first thoughts?
My first thoughts are pure excitement. This is what it's all about, guys. Like, we're back where we want to be. Like, we're the face of the nation. We're the face of college football this weekend. It fires me up. This game is full of headlines, top to bottom. Heupel's return to Norman, 5-star versus 5-star. It's all you want in a matchup in college football. Not to mention two of the better defenses this season. Both have impressed. There's so much going into this matchup, and it fires me up.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the matchup itself, it seems like, I mean, this might be biased to anybody listening, but I don't know where Oklahoma has the advantage except for it being in Norman.
No, you're right. I think Tennessee looks – the eye test says Tennessee is the better team here, but, I mean – and I don't think the team's going to be overlooking Oklahoma, but we can't overlook Oklahoma. I mean, they're not a bad football team. And like you said, they're at home. I mean, they hold 80,000, 90,000. So, I mean, the place is going to be rocking. College game days there. And like Eli said, I mean, everybody's eyes are on this game. And this is the real test to see if Tennessee's the real deal or not.
This game has major playoff implications to start with. 7:30 on ABC, like you can't not say it. Like, at the eyes of all of fans across the country, fans of every team, fans of every conference will be on this game. And I don't know, like Jim was saying, it's going to be a test. It's going to be a huge test for this offense and defense. I mean, Jackson Arnold is, say what you want about him. He's a good quarterback. I think he will be a good quarterback in this league. He's young. He's just like Nico. He's going to make mistakes. But both quarterbacks, it's their first real competition test.
Yeah, plus see, I mean, I'll give Jackson Arnold some credit. I mean, he's gone through a bunch of different offensive line guys all year, and since he's been playing, he's also had some wide receivers get hurt. And one of their main guys, I think, what is his name? Anderson, their wide receiver one from last year.
Nick Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, he's apparently going to be back for this game, which is a big deal. I mean, this guy was their leading touchdown scorer last year. So hopefully McCoy will be able to take care of business. But, I mean, this team, like we've talked about it already. I mean, this Tennessee team looks so different and feels different than the past couple of years. I just think this team's going to want to win it for Heupel. Heupel's not going to be going and telling the team he wants this game. The team knows he wants this game. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee we get. I mean, we're going to keep hitting this point. This is Tennessee's first test, and if they can win this game, this shows the country that we mean business this year.
Absolutely. So looking at I want to talk about Jackson Arnold for a few minutes. He's yet to throw for over 200 yards, and they've been playing, mediocre to bad competition. And now he's running into the buzzsaw that is Tennessee's defense so far this year. I mean, it doesn't look good for Jackson Arnold, especially like you said, Jim, with all the offensive line injuries they've already had so far. An offensive line that was already talked about being not that good before the injuries. I mean, how do y'all think that's going to go?
Well, I think I don't know. I think Tennessee's defensive line is going to cause problems for the best of them. I don't know which offensive lineman will be back for Oklahoma this week. I know I heard maybe the starting center might be back this week.
Yeah, Branson Hickman should be back. I don't know about Jake Taylor.
Well, it's 50-50 at this point. I mean, he might be testing it, but again, this defensive front, man, has been is brutal. I mean, for all offensive lines across the country. Like I said, I'm really interested to see how this Tennessee team handles themselves in a road environment like this. I mean, I know Vols fans are going to be traveling really well to this game, but I think this defensive line is going to cause problems. And Jackson Arnold, his numbers under pressure are not pretty. So we'll see if that, has any implications on this game.
Yeah, he likes to run a lot. You got to keep him in the pocket, and you got to contain him. I mean, we got the athletes to do it on the defensive front. Not only, but our linebackers are hyper athletic as well. I don't think we'll have a problem stopping the run like any team in the country, or the three teams they've played have done well against their run game. But the run game that stems from Arnold not seeing anything and scrambling out of the pocket, I just think you got to get to him. You got to contain him. You can't let him escape. You can't let him make big plays with his legs. The key to the game is just stop Arnold defensively, at least.
I think that's spot on, Eli. I said this last year before the Alabama game. Maybe the pressure plan shouldn't be as focused on sacks as it normally would be. Just get even with them and don't let them out of the pocket or step up in the pocket. Just collapse the cylinder and don't let them get out of the pocket, because, nothing demoralizes the defense more than letting the quarterback scramble for a first down, especially when it's on a 3rd and 10 plus like Matt Corral did to us 3 years ago in Neyland. He had close to 200 rushing yards that game, but our defense is light years better than then. But that's, to me, the biggest thing for Tennessee's defense is keeping him in the pocket.
I mean, we saw it with Grayson McCall. Like, he tries to get out of the pocket, panics for a split second because he's got Joshua Josephs bearing down at him, and he just tries to flip it over his head, and it turns into a pick six, and, the game changes from that point. It's like our defensive front just has to get to Arnold because he's young, and if he sees dudes we're Titans fans. We've seen what Will Levis has done when he panics in the pocket. Arnold's going to do the same thing just because he's young, and he's got, a bunch of future NFL players bearing down on him.
Yeah, well, Jackson Arnold has an excuse. Will Levis is a grown-ass man, but I don't want to talk about the Titans. Another thing about their offense, they're averaging a little over 4 yards a carry, and they've played the 53rd best run defense, 129th best run defense, and the 97th best run defense so far. Tennessee comes in with the 4th best run defense so far. So, the old adage, if you can stop a dive and you can run a dive, you're going to win the game most of the time.
Well, yeah, that's going to be a key to this game. I mean, and Jackson Arnold is a better quarterback when, any quarterback really is. If you get the run game going and open up, the play action or just the passing game in general, it's going to be easier to throw the ball, right? So if Tennessee stops that and has them, flustered and has them continuing to have to throw the ball, I mean, that's a point in our favor. I mean, same thing when it comes to the other side is if they can stop our run, I mean, it's the same thing with Nico. I mean, it's each way. Their defense is really good as well, so we'll talk about them more as well.
They usually the past 3 games they've kind of opened it up with some sort of reverse. I think that they might be setting something up. Maybe whether that be a reverse pass, I don't know, but I mean, that could go anywhere. That's something to look for. The defense has just got to be ready for the trickery because, I think that Oklahoma knows that our defense is made of dogs, and they're gonna try to do what they can to score on us.
Yeah, and another knock against their offensive line. They've allowed 9 sacks in 3 games. Like, I think that is the key matchup. Defense, our defensive line versus their offensive line. If it goes how it's supposed to go, and I will be highly disappointed if it doesn't go how it's supposed to go, Tennessee wins by double digits. I just don't see them getting enough done if Arnold is constantly under pressure. They're 108th in total offense so far this season against far worse defenses than what they'll be facing on Saturday night.
And even if they do get Branson Hickman, the center, and Jake Taylor, the right tackle, back, I mean, those guys, they got to gel. Like, they haven't really had time. Like, I guess they've been practicing, but like your first game environment of the season being against one of the best defensive fronts in football, like, you cannot replicate that in practice. And I think that's the difference in this game. I think we can replicate what they can do in practice, and they can't replicate what we do in practice. Both sides of the football.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to replicate Tennessee's offense no matter what you do in practice. I know NC State thought they had it down, but they clearly didn't. I think one of the another key is you have to survive the onslaught early in the game, because I have a feeling they'll be coming out trying everything, pulling out the full bag of offensive tricks. And if you can get past that without much damage, watch out.
Limit the mistakes in the secondary. Like, that was one of the keys to the game I had for NC State, and they did. They held KC Conception. No, they really didn't have any huge chunk plays, and that's really what I'm looking for our defense to do in this one.
Mm-hmm. So, just talking about now our offense against their defense, Oklahoma's defense has looked pretty solid so far. I mean, I know much like us, they've played mediocre competition, but they look pretty stout. But where I've seen advantage, just watching their games, their corners don't look that fast to me. And I think Tennessee can have some success over the top. What about you, Jim?
I disagree as an offense and as a whole, is they haven't seen this offense. I mean, this offense is quick. Nico has it rolling with the tempo. He keeps his foot on the gas. Josh Heupel has done a great job this year on whatever the defense is giving him, he's going to use. So if they stack the box, they're going to throw the ball. If they keep a light box, good luck. Try and stop Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop, and Cam Seldon should be back this week. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Josh Heupel's been doing a phenomenal job with the play calling, because he's wasn't what he was 2 years ago last year. And obviously the difference is with Nico, obviously. But man, Nico is he's gonna show a lot of people this week on what he really is. Now he had the interview in fall camp about he'd rather play on the road and all this stuff. It's really gonna show come Saturday night, because this is prime time. Everyone's eyes are on you. Night game on the road. And if you could win this game, I mean, like we said before, I mean, Tennessee's going to be on the map after this game if they could win.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things for our offense. How does Nico handle the hostile environment? And I don't think I've ever been more confident in a freshman quarterback going into a hostile environment than I am with Nico going into Norman Saturday night.
I'm a little nervous just because he is young, but I like the way he talks, the way it just seems so confident in himself, and I love to see that, especially from a quarterback, because you want a quarterback to be like weirdly overconfident, right? Like
I'd rather an overconfident guy than a guy that you could tell is pressured by the spotlight.
Yeah, I think that I could see him breaking the threshold of 300 yards in this game. I think we'll establish the run or try to. And if we don't, they have a really good run defense. That's their strength. But they run they run a confusing. Brent Venables in the past is he's kind of he's a good defensive coordinator. We knew what he did at Clemson and everything. But at times his defense can kind of get confused because he does a lot of switching, and they're like very versatile in their coverages. Like they'll run some nickel. They run a lot out of nickel, but they'll switch it up quite a bit. And every now and then you'll see like the dude being out of position, being caught. And the way our offense is ran, I can see like one of our guys slipping out, getting Nico hitting them deep for like a big chunk play or even a touchdown. I think that'll be huge in this game. That's something I'm looking for. We're going to go deep in this one. I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, you just mentioned Brent Venables, Eli. I mean, he's kind of like the Mad Hatter calling a defense. He's very aggressive. He disguises a lot. He does a lot of different things to try and get into the heads of a quarterback. But if Tennessee's going, mock speed like they should be doing, I mean, how can you get out of your base defense when you're just trying to focus on getting lined up?
And that's why it's crucial. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's why it's crucial to get to the line and run your pace. No negative plays, because the negative plays are just they hurt you. You just want positive yardage, get to the line, snap the football, throw the defense off. That's where the Tennessee offense finds its identity.
Mm-hmm. And that leads into this. My only concern before the season, it's not as much of a concern now as it was since seeing Nico play, but the Tennessee on the road under Josh Heupel, besides the LSU game, hasn't been great. And I know it's not something people want to hear, but I would like to see it happen on Saturday night and prove me wrong. And like I said, I don't think that as much as I did before the season, but it's still a slight concern to me. You have to not have these stupid false starts like we saw at Georgia in 2022 or the litany of road games we've not played well in the last 2 years. You have to stay out of 1st and 15, stay out of 3rd and long, and they won't be able to dial up those exotic looks on defense.
Yeah, like I said earlier, though, I really do think Josh Heupel is going to have this team prepared. This team, the culture seems different. But like I said, I mean, we really aren't going to know truly what this team is until Saturday. And like I said, Oklahoma is not a bad football team. But Tennessee, I mean, I really do think, and this is without bias, I do think Tennessee is a better football team. I think the quarterback's better, not by a lot, but he's definitely better than Jackson Arnold. And if we get the run game going, I think it's going to be, I wouldn't say smooth sailing, but it's going to be a good chance Tennessee wins this game if we get this run game going, open up the passing game for Nico.
I think that Tennessee is a better football team all around. In the places where they're very good, Oklahoma, Tennessee is just as good, but in the places where Tennessee is very good, in some places Oklahoma is just not as good. That's what I think the difference in this game is. We're just deeper, we're better, we're bigger in a lot of areas. We're an SEC football team, and they're still trying to make that adjustment, if that makes any sense. Like they have SEC size in the Big 12, but we're an SEC football team, and we've been built to be an SEC football team.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty big on the defensive line. Shout out former Vol, Dejon Terry. But I think that tells you all you need to know. He's starting in Oklahoma. So, and we recruited over him, and now we have the most depth we've had on the D-line in probably a decade or more. Probably 2 decades, honestly, since John Henderson and Albert Haynes were there together.
He's their biggest defensive lineman, isn't he? Pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken.
If he's not the biggest, he's close. They have a lot of people well over 300, but everybody on our offensive line is well over 300 too.
They have some similar edges to what NC State has. They're kind of small, compact, and quick, which kind of gave Zalance Hurd and John Campbell a little trouble. But it's nothing to completely worry about. I think our pass protection should look decently well in this game, especially if you establish the run, which is number one, always establish the run.
See, that's their weakest point on the defensive line, though, is their edges. The interior linemen are a lot better than the edges to where Lance Hurd and God, who's our right tackle? John Campbell. They shouldn't have a problem. They face better edges than what they're going to face Saturday. It's like I said, mainly what I'm looking for on Saturday is what team do we see? Do we see the team from these past 3 games, or is it going to be different? Like Ryan said, I mean, we haven't been great on the road in the Josh Heupel era, except for LSU. But I would love to see an LSU performance on Saturday. And we definitely have the talent and capability to do so. It's just, like I said, we have to wait and see.
We haven't been so good on the road in the Josh Heupel area because we haven't been deep enough and we haven't had the experience enough. And think about it, guys. We're barely year 4 of the Josh Heupel era. Like, and the way he's playing right now, like, guys, we have us a coach. And I know it's been said, but like, I mean, think about where we were facing coming out of the Jeremy Pruitt era. And he's already turned this program into looks to have his second 10-win season. If all goes well this season, his second 10-win season and 4. That's impressive, especially in the SEC.
Yeah. And I want to talk about this now. I mean, Josh Heupel, the guy who brought Oklahoma their last national championship, having his homecoming. Do y'all think that there will be a tribute video?
Yeah, they've already announced that they're honoring the national championship team from his year. So I'm assuming Josh Heupel is going to be in it. That'd be a slap in the face if he's not.
Oh, dude, that'd be stupid of them to make him mad right before.
You never know. That could be a good rattle technique.
Maybe, but like, I don't know. I've seen Josh Heupel be ruthless in the past with like Missouri when we're up like 60, throwing a 70-yard bomb with Joe Milton. Like, he can be ruthless. Last week, we kicked an onside kick up 30. Like, he can be ruthless, and I'd love to see that.
That was in the first quarter too. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a unique situation because you have Josh Heupel, who kind of I think he hates Bob Stoops with a passion. Since he fired him, he blamed him for Trevor Knight sucking. He made his career, without really benefiting from the coaching he did at Oklahoma. He made his own way, and now look where he is. So I think he wants to get back at Oklahoma a little bit, but I don't think he's making it a point to the team or anything. I don't think he wants the team to think that, because that could backfire if you put some undue pressure on this team. But then again, I don't know if anything can slow down this team the way they're playing at the moment.
I don't think he's using it as a talking point in the locker room, but I think the players know. Like, they have to know, right?
Yeah.
You're a coach. You talk about your glory days at Oklahoma. I'd say it's been brought up by Josh Heupel, maybe in a good sense, but it just means a little more to him. I guarantee it. Like, I mean, he hasn't explicitly said that, but we can take a guess.
Yeah. So I like I said at the top of this, I don't know if Oklahoma has an advantage anywhere on the field at any position group. The only one maybe that I could listen to is, their wide receivers and their passing game against our secondary. But then again, our secondaries looked a lot better this year so far, with Jermod McCoy looking like the lockdown corner that he was at Oregon State. But for him, it's the first real test, and that's a big part of the game.
Would you really say their wide receivers are better than ours?
No, I'm saying their wide receivers are against our secondary. Might be the only one.
I was going to say there ain't no way. Not saying they do have a couple out, but I'm saying currently with the people out, there ain't no shot. Deion Burks is really good, though. I do like Deion Burks. I think he's going to be a really good player and one to watch out for this Saturday because he is really, really quick. And like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see how this team handles this environment. Now, I did want to ask you guys a question. What do you think how many Vols fans show up for this one? Because I know this is
I'll be there.
this is the game that everyone circled that they wanted to go to because we never really had the opportunity to really go out there.
I've heard a lot of buzz around, a lot of people going. I'm going, so I hope we bring a crowd. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Do you think it looks like
mean,
LSU in 2022? Because I do.
Just because it's Oklahoma's first SEC game and it's a night game. I don't think so.
I think so.
But then again, I hear people talking. Then again, I hear Tennessee fans talking, and it just makes me want to say that we'll go down there and not take over, of course, but bring the faithful.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Jim. I think 10 to 15,000, like easily. And if it gets to the LSU level, I mean, we all know how that went. I know it was a noon game, but it matters when a fourth or 10 to 15% of the stadium is the opposite team. It has an effect. Do you remember last year, Jim, when Texas A&M brought all their fans and they were making noise while we were on offense?
Yeah, no, you could tell it makes a difference. I really do think that Tennessee is going to travel really well, and I think it's going to be at the LSU caliber. I think I'm not going to say it's going to be 25, 30,000 people, but there is going to be quite a bit of orange in that stadium. I know a lot of people were circling this game to go to before we even knew what team we had. So now that the team looks really good, like a playoff contender, national title contender, I just think Vols fans are going to travel for this one. Now, don't get me wrong, Oklahoma fans will be there too, and they're going to be loud, and because this is the biggest game of the week. I mean, college game day. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I really think this is going to show a lot about both teams this week.
There is also the difference of in 2022, LSU, while they did end up going to the SEC championship, at the time, they had a loss and a pretty significant loss at the beginning of the season. So in retrospect, it looked like a big game, but at the time for LSU, it was kind of a down game for them, if that makes any sense. But Oklahoma's undefeated, and it's their first SEC game ever. So I think that those fans are going to show up. I mean, they have a pretty big fan base. But there's so much more that goes into it when it comes to an away game because, I mean, not only it's the fans, that's probably the main part, but, like, the routine of things. Like, it's not the same as being at home. Like, probably a crappy away locker room, hotel situation, travel. You got to deal with, like, you're just not in a familiar area. So, like, that could be rough on some of our guys. But who knows, man? Like, I really do think Tennessee fans are going to travel well, but I do think Oklahoma fans will outweigh the stadium significantly.
Well, I would hope so.
Significantly, is what I meant, but yeah, I would hope so as well. They're not Vanderbilt.
I mean, I think another factor. I mean, this is only the fifth time ever we will be playing them, even though we're going to start playing them a lot more frequently. But it's just not a matchup that Tennessee has seen a lot. I mean, the last time was when Butch Jones cowered his way through a coaching job in Neyland Stadium and just lost the game just based on horrible conservative coaching. We kicked a field goal on 4th and 1 while we had Jalen Hurd on the team. Like, what?
And Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, I mean, just nonsense. And I think Tennessee fans are ready to see something go differently for the Vols against Oklahoma for the first time, I think, since the late 60s. So
there's bad blood all around on this one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, both teams. Have you seen all these interviews by players and stuff already? Everyone's, like, kissing each other's ass. And it's like, oh, yeah, they have a great front. Oh, yeah, their offensive line's really good. Oh, yeah, very talented group coming in. We're going to have to play really well. It's like, dude, stop it. I know you're trying to be, like, humble and stuff. We all know what they're really thinking.
I mean, if they're smart, they're going to be thinking what they're saying. I mean, if they're thinking, Oklahoma's at home and they're going to win their first SEC game easily, they got another thing coming. I mean, for Oklahoma to win, I think a lot of things have to go right for them. I think they have to turn us over. I think they have to control time of possession. I think they have to control field position. And that leads into this. Tennessee can't be messed around on special teams. I know we haven't done that a lot at all under Heupel. We've had excellent special teams under Heupel, but that's something that can't happen. So
I mean, you're going to have to punt in this one, and Jackson Ross sometimes doesn't look the best when it comes to that.
Yeah, Jackson Ross is very much feast or famine. He either is pinning them inside the 20, if not the 10, or punting it 20 yards out of bounds. And
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, look at the opening kickoff against Kent State. I mean,
I forgot about that.
But I do want to bring a point up. We're talking about this team and the culture. I don't know if you've seen what Omari Thomas said about this game, but this is a quote from Omari Thomas, but he says, nobody's saying we want to win this one for Coach Heupel because Coach Heupel isn't making it about himself. He pushes Tennessee and the power T, and that's what we're doing. We're playing for Tennessee and the power T. That is what I'm talking about with the difference with this team, man. It's like this team they want to go 1-0 every week, and it's not about anybody else but themselves in the state of Tennessee and the university. It's a different ball club that we're used to. And like I said, I hope we're right. And we just said this team looks amazing on Saturday, but I wish it was Saturday tomorrow or today. I wish the game was about to come on. I'm ready for this one, man.
You're so right. I hate that it's Tuesday. I've been anticipating this game since honestly last week because we knew how the Kent State game was going to go. Ever since the NC State game ended, I was like, can't wait for Oklahoma. Hate that I have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, this is the chance for Tennessee to set sail on, at this point for me, forget contending for a playoff. It's time to contend for a national championship. I think this team is that good already. Like, it's time to set sail on a national championship run. I think the playoffs are given at this point with the way they're playing if they continue this. So, and this is your first test.
Well, so, they have to win this game. To me, I mean, because I'm not writing off Georgia after the way they look this week, but Georgia is still Georgia. And we're on the road there as well. So I'm still marking that as a loss in my book until, we'll see this weekend. But you lose this game, then you're going to you have to go beat Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas. So this game has major repercussions if you lose. So this is to me, like we've talked about it before, this was the Florida game last year where our season could have looked totally different if you win that game in the Swamp last year. So this is it. This is the game of the year. This is the one game you need to focus on right now as a team. And like I said, I think they're doing that. I don't question that. But you can't be looking forward. It's all about this week. Every week is going to have to be the game of the year for this team.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that's exactly how Josh Heupel runs the program. Even last week, it was the game of the year because it was the next opponent. So, and that's what you want to hear out of a coach. I know people hate the
faceless comment. That was I love that comment too.
Yeah, that was cold-blooded. I mean, but that's what you want to hear. I mean, you can't be overlooking people or you'll get what Georgia got on Saturday night in Lexington. I mean, they almost lost to a dreadful Kentucky team.
Exactly.
I mean, it's any given Saturday. Like, anything can happen. But for me, like I think you mentioned it, Jim, even on Sunday night, I don't think it's a must-win necessarily because I think Tennessee can play with anybody on the schedule. I think you're allowed one slip up.
No, I understand that, but to me, this is must win because it's just I'd rather slip up in like the Bama game than this game because if you lose to an Oklahoma team and let's say they go down their schedule, they have a brutal schedule, and let's say they go down their schedule and they still lose 5 to 6 games, that loss is not pretty. And if you go against a Bama and say Bama only loses 2 to 3, I'd rather have that loss, in all honesty. So I think this is a must. Every game's a must win, but this one, I want this one bad. I think all the fans want it. I think all the players want it. Coaches, you name it. It's just this one means a lot.
So much goes into it. I think I agree with Jim on that. I think it is a must win just because it is one of those opponents that it could look bad if you lose, but it also could look good if you win. You go down their schedule, like you said, they got it rough. They probably got it harder than what we
They
initially
play
did.
what? I
They
think
kind of
it's 5 of the top 10 teams. Like
they got what we thought Florida had. To be honest with you,
yeah, but Florida's just bad though.
yeah. Either way, but Florida had that rough looking schedule at the beginning of the year. I do think it's a must win though. First SEC game of the year. You're a team like you got a lot on you right now. This team's carrying a lot of weight. Like they're under a microscope from the national perspective because everyone's talking about them. So there's a lot riding on this game, and it's good. It's good to carry momentum into the next week. And it's like you go win this one, you carry that into Arkansas, or you carry that into an off week, which would be great for this team. Great, something you can build off of, and you want to build off of a great win on the road. A great road win in the SEC it's unmatched. It really is.
Well, and they could roll it into the Arkansas week. You win 2 road games, and you're in a homestand against I wouldn't say tough part of your schedule. I mean, Alabama is going to be a tough game, but yeah, I mean, you're a 4-game road stand, and you're looking pretty, man. Like at this point, you're going into Florida, 5-0, and you could beat. Obviously, we could beat Florida this year. It's at home. A lot, everything makes sense. 6-0 going into Alabama. That game is going to be massive. If you could get this win today, that game will be the game of the year. I think at the actual game of the year. Bama coming to Neyland again. That place is going to be rocking. It's just got to get past this week. If Tennessee can win this week, it's going to be really, really good going in to the season.
Other than Georgia after that, I really don't see a team competing with us.
No, Mississippi State. Oh, my God.
Mississippi State is worse
terrible.
than Kentucky. They're worse. I don't see any of them other teams competing with us.
Well, Kentucky, I mean, their defense isn't terrible, but they're just their offensive line is just butt cheeks when it's just.
Oh, dude, I saw a tweet earlier and I responded to it. I quote tweeted it, and it was like a dude. He asked the question. It was like, who's getting overhyped and who's getting under? Like, who doesn't get enough hype? And one of the dudes responded in the comments, Tennessee's getting overhyped and Kentucky's getting underhyped. And I quote tweeted it, and I said, yeah, me personally, I have scored the same amount of touchdowns as the Kentucky offense in the past 2 games, which is 0. And I haven't done nothing but sit on my butt every Saturday.
Yeah, no, but, I mean, Stoops is just he's another one. But let's get Billy Napier one more year.
I agree. Do y'all want to hear what a potential Oklahoma insider / fan has to say?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm like I said, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to keep the bias out of it. Obviously, both sides want each of their teams to win. So, but I hope it's a realistic guy to where it's just not delusional. But we'll see. Yeah,
I think it could be fun.
All right, here we go. Harry James Taylor.
Harry James. Name's got a ring to it.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? How are y'all?
Great.
Good.
Doing all right, brother.
Cool beans. Y'all ready for Saturday?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would hope you guys are too. I mean, this game's really. This is actually the first game I'm like genuinely excited for. Yeah, even though it's our teams, I get it, but like this is the first game of like the college football season to where I'm like, damn, I can't wait to watch a football game.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a crazy atmosphere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's even gotten so much hype, and it's even gotten so much better. Since you guys were here, Trevor's here, and even 13 or 14. Was it 13?
I think it was 2014.
Yeah, it was 14 because 15 we went out to Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, I mean, like the stadium is so much bigger. It's so much more. It's just so much more lively around campus. Um,
I'm excited. I'll be there. I'll be present. I can't wait to experience the Oklahoma, which I'll do on a game day because I know how we do it. Just kind of want to see how it is. See if y'all are like up to par with the SEC.
Well, I think I'm not. So I'm on the opposite side of what Eli's saying. I'm not saying Oklahoma is not SEC caliber because, like I said, Oklahoma's a good football team. I think right now the way I look at Jackson Arnold, like Eli said again. I mean, he's young, just like Nico. He's young. He's had a rough time with his offensive line and his wide receivers, and that's where I think the trouble comes in this weekend. That's the only reason I think Tennessee has the 7.5 point favorite. I think, everyone knows that you guys are injured right now, and
yes,
it's a big deal. It is a big deal.
it's a huge deal, and I think that you guys also talked about it as far as, and I'm not just talking about just the overall schedule. You just think about the next 3 to 4 weeks that Oklahoma has on tap. Of course, you guys know what's coming up Saturday. Then we got one of the most, and this is what I hear, one of the most underrated SEC programs on the road. Auburn is a really, 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 really difficult team to beat in at Auburn. And
Yeah.
then it's then it's OU Texas. And with that one in Dallas, you never know what's going to happen. It could go one way, it could go the other. Not to mention the quarterbacks that could or could not play in this game. We're not even going to talk about that because I think that the newest Manning is like, here's what I think. I think he's getting way too much hype right now. That's just my opinion. Then you're on the road at our old buddy in South Carolina and Shane Beamer, and they're getting better defensively. He's getting that team together defensively. Now, offensively, of course, he's got some work to do, and who wouldn't after a 6-year quarterback leaves? Why not have that issue? And then you're off to my first ever true road SEC game. Now I was there when you guys when we played you guys with Baker Mayfield. That will be my true first ever road test at Ole Miss, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's in the next that's our next 6 opponents.
Yeah, you guys have a rough one.
Yeah,
You
not
guys
to
have
mention you
a
finish
tough
off.
schedule.
You finish off with Missouri, Missouri, Alabama, and LSU,
at Missouri, Alabama,
and then at LSU. That's Missouri's. They're not the road environment that LSU is going to bring, but yeah, I mean Ole Miss at Missouri and at LSU is a rough look.
Yeah, and no, and like I said, not to mention Auburn. That is That is not one of the.
Auburn's a tougher road environment than Missouri, in my personal opinion.
Just ask Alabama and Georgia last year, right? But I mean, and that's just the gauntlet of the SEC. Now let's talk about, guys, real quick. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The UT that is not UT. Here's what I'll say about that. Okay.
Go for it.
He's a good quarterback. In the other Manning, okay? He's a good quarterback. But I will say this. The problem that I have with it is, and the reason I talk about the overhyped and all that, is, don't get me wrong, Traylor is a good coach. He's a good coach. And he's going to get a Power 5 offer, I guess now Power 4 offer. I guess it could be here pretty soon a Power 5 offer because the Pac-12's coming back. But let's not get into all that mess. Pac-4, Pac-12 offer. He will get a Power 4, Power 5 offer. He will, eventually. And he'll take that eventually. But as it stands right now, he's at UTSA. A&M, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU. those players are better than the ones that he has at UTSA with right now. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You would agree. So why is it such a big deal that they blew out UTSA 77-7 or whatever they did? Why is that such a big deal? Why is everybody talking about him being another one of the Mannings? And he very well might be. But the point is, he did it against UTSA. It's not like he did it against Texas. It's not like he did it against A&M. It's not like he did it against somebody that's really going to be any good.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that's even being talked about is because of his last name. But I want to hear what you think is going to happen this weekend, Mr. Harry James.
Oh boy. I'm
Are
gonna
you
be
one
dead
of the
honest with you.
Yeah, are you the realistic fan? Because I know a lot of Oklahoma fans that are actually scared of this weekend.
I wouldn't say scared. I wouldn't say intimidated. Here's what I'm scared or intimidated about. I'm scared or intimidated that Tennessee is going to come whoop our ear. That's what I'm scared about. I am not scared of anybody. Nobody in the SEC, quote unquote, scares me. And you can take offense to that or not. The problem that I have is because when Seth gets this thing figured out, and if we start scoring 50, 60, 70, 80 points again, and the defense keeps playing as well as they are, then we'll be able to play with Tennessee. Because that's what you guys are doing right now. You guys are blowing teams out, and you're playing really good defense against some of the teams. That's what you got to do. And like I said, I would imagine that eventually Oklahoma will get back to that. And they are going to get back to that. And I'm not worried about them getting back to that. They'll get back to that. But the problem is right now and why we're not there is because of all the injuries, players in and out. And I don't know if they're going to be back. I hope they come back. But, I mean, even if they are or are not, here's the problem that I have with it. Here's a perfectly good example. Nick, I'm not so worried about Nick. What I am worried about is Anthony. Andrell Anthony, he's a wide receiver, played for the Sooners. He played. What had happened was
Bigger guy, right?
He's a big time wide receiver. The problem with it is against the fake UT last year in the comeback, he tore his ACL. And if it was just once, that's okay. He had another scope in there to make sure everything was okay. And that's okay too. But what scares me about that fact is that how healthy is he going to feel? How is he going to feel? It's always it's one thing. Like for example, when it happened to another great OU quarterback in Jason White, right? He had to come back and answer it, and he did. He a home game against Alabama, came back, did it again, went on the road to Alabama the exact next year with two completely new knees and tore it up. But how, you get what I'm saying? How did he feel? How healthy did his knee feel? Did he honestly feel within all his heart and by God that he could actually do it without tearing something else? It's one thing if it's just a knee or if it's just an elbow, but it's part of your knee. It's an ACL. It's very snappable, if you will. I don't even know if that's a word or if that makes any sense at all.
I was kind of looking at the scope of the Oklahoma wide receiver room. Is not like I get Andrell Anthony was a key part of the team up to a certain point last year.
Oh yeah,
but y'all got plenty of guys in that room that can take over.
No doubt about it. I've said this, and you can call me Homer if you want. Against the fake UT, if he had not had that ACL injury, and I will say this until the day that I die, Drake Stoops would not be part of the LA Rams. Because the main guy that Dylan Gabriel would be looking for downfield to convert the first downs would be number 5, Andrell Anthony. And call me a homer again, I think that if Andrell plays the entire year last season and Dylan Gabriel is looking for him down the field, I think that we beat Kansas. We definitely beat Kansas. And we definitely beat the third ugliest orange I've ever seen come to Norman in Oklahoma State. And we're competing for a college football playoff appearance. I'm saying that right now.
Can I interject for one moment?
Go ahead.
I asked, what do you think will happen this weekend? And you talked about Texas. So can we talk about the Volunteers? And
Well, and again, the reason why that even came up is because that he's tried the last 3 weeks to come back. And again, it's just at some point it just isn't gonna happen, and those injuries usually take a year to come back anyway. With that being said, as far as Saturday is concerned, I'm a little scared.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. You sound very you're avoiding the question a little bit. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, I am very scared. I mean, these are
Oh, I'm clipping this.
now that we are where we are, and you know, I need to know. I mean, to be honest, to be gosh honest, if he's not going to play, and then if Slick Nick doesn't play, you're asking one guy that doesn't even know the whole offense. He only knows maybe a quarter of it because he's only been here since the spring. But he is a dynamic player in number 6 in Andrew Burks, Deion Burks, transfer from Purdue. But then behind him, you're asking players that are completely new to the offense, just like him. And not only that, guys, they have not done it at this level. And you're asking them to do it against a defense that I think that might be, if you're not getting any better, Tennessee might be the most improved defense in the league.
Yeah, I don't think that's a stretch at all. So it sounds like the injuries is causing you to not have much faith going into this weekend as far as offense against our defense. How do you think Oklahoma's defense will fare against the mock speed of the Volunteers?
Now that is a completely opposite, therefore, to the question. Because we have so many players that can come back and that are playing this way and that are playing great football. I think that as far as that's concerned, I think that we have the answers. And I don't mean that as a homer pick or anything like that, but here's what I mean by that. Last week, even against Tulane, it was a pick 6 that killed us. Other than that, it's 2 scoring drives. One with a less than a minute to go in that first, less than a minute to go in the half. By the way, I still don't see how you missed that PAT. That was hilarious. Did y'all see that one, by the way?
It's not too surprising. It's Tulane on a down year. I know they've been good the last few years, but yeah, it was abhorrent.
Well, I mean, the problem with that is, and I don't know if you guys know this. Now, did any of you guys go back in 13 when we played you guys here?
I did not know.
Because that is the side of the end zone that if it goes through the pipes and you goes over the net, that ball is going out of the stadium. And the Tulane player or the Tulane assistant has to get up, go outside the stadium in front of McCaslin to get the football, and then get back inside the stadium. That's, in my opinion, that is one of the greatest environments and one of the greatest things about college football is that, and one of the best ones is, and I know that you guys don't want to talk about Texas anymore, but I got to tell y'all this one. We were playing them last year, and there was a PAT, and it was kicked. up and good through one of the end zones. And the ball goes out and out and out and out. And the University of Texas assistant is running down there trying to get to the ball. Now, if you're in Norman or you're in Knoxville or you're anywhere and that happens and the ball goes out of the stadium like that, you can easily go out there and find it, right? You would agree with that.
But
But-
Neyland doesn't have open end zones since like the 70s, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. But if you're in the stinking middle of their state fair, there ain't no way in heck you're getting that ball back.
Oh yeah, there's a shitload of people.
Somebody's gonna take that football and run.
Yeah, I was down there for the Winter Classic 4 years ago, but
So there is that case. So, but as far as to what you were at, yeah, I mean we've got tons of, and the problem is that like I was saying about the wide receivers and how they're so young behind Burks, the defense is such a veteran league, and they're so veteranized. And two of the guys that I really think you guys should watch out for is Billy Bowman. Now, Billy Bowman is one, and the other one, I'm going to say this right now, it's Ethan Downs. Now, Danny can have all the props he wants. Danny is a man. Danny is the best. He's a beast out there. He's the current edition of Brian Bosworth.
Ooh, he's good. I don't know about. All right, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, like that's who he. I mean, that he is that dude. I mean, he's unstoppable, guys. But as far as Billy's concerned,
Sorry to
field
interrupt.
right now.
What
on
are
the
your
field right
thoughts
now.
on Robert Spears Jennings, the other
He's a
safety
good-
behind other side of Bowman?
He's good enough. You know,
Okay.
he's an Oklahoma kid. You know, it is what it is. I mean, not everybody's, and he got to play a little bit last year, and you know, it is to where you get better and you get better and you get better. The reason why I love my Ethan and Billy is I love Ethan because he's just such a trench worker, and I think that just coming from Oklahoma, just being an Oklahoma kid, and just knowing how badly he wants this, that's one thing. On the other, guys, at the end of the day, we all like to win, right? We don't like to lose, do we?
no.
Nobody likes to lose.
So you're prepared for it.
I'm prepared for it, but that's not really where I'm going here, all right? 4
Okay.
straight championships. Now, if you are married or you had a girlfriend and she's got 4 things over you, 4 rings, 4 titles, it doesn't matter. And she has a chance to come back, by the way, for a 5th, and she's coming back for a 5th. And Jada Coleman, his girlfriend. Point is that he wants this. He wants it badly enough, and he's such a good player. And I think that he's a game changer, and he can be a game changer. And that's why I love to watch Billy Bowman play. He wants to do it, and it's not only because he wants to be. Obviously, yes, he wants to be. He wants to beat out his girlfriend. Yes, he wants to be on that level with her. Yes, to have at least one national championship. Yes, but he's doing it for the team. And every time that we need a big play, he's the man to do it. We needed a big play to kind of set things up last week. He was the guy to do it. He's the one that set up J5's touchdown. He's the
All
one
right,
that,
all right. Listen here. Score prediction. Go. This weekend.
oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
Just say it.
35-28.
Just say it. Vols by 50. Go ahead.
All right.
35-28, one-score game.
Oh, you're about to
I
you're
just
about
think
to
that
give
we're
the
gonna-
bias answer. No, you're about to give the bias answer.
I think that we're that place is going to be lit, boys.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's lit or not. We're
So-
the better
I think that-
football team.
So you're taking the Vols, but you're going to take Oklahoma to cover, is what I'm hearing.
No, I'm taking Oklahoma out straight, 35-28.
Okay.
Oh God, clip it.
All right. Thank you for the Oklahoma
We win by
insight.
touch.
So what I got from all that is they love Texas, and they're ready to play Texas. They're not even thinking about this weekend. They're thinking about whatever week it is when they play Texas.
Well, I think that
The
rolls
fake
nicely into our predictions. Jim, I'll let you go first.
Again, I said it earlier. Oklahoma's not a bad football team. I think it'll be a little closer at the beginning of the game for sure. Because of the hype, the atmosphere. But once Tennessee gets settled in, and Oklahoma can't let Tennessee get on the board first and get going, because it is not fun to play catch up with Tennessee. So with that note, I do think Tennessee is going to score in the 40s. I don't care how good everyone thinks their defense is. Tennessee is going to score. It's just, I don't know. We're going to find out a lot about this defense, but with what I've seen this past 3 weeks with lesser opponents, I'm going to say 45-24 Vols. And I think this whole atmosphere that everyone's talking about, I think by the mid-third quarter, everyone's going to be going home just like NC State was.
I agree with Jim. I think that they'll keep it close in the first half. They'll keep it close-ish. I think we'll jump out. I think going to the half, we'll have about a 7-point lead. But I think we'll pull away. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go 35-17. The Vols pull this one out. I really want us to break the 40 threshold, but I'm kind of iffy on it because we're on the road. It's Nico's first road test, and they do have a good run defense. So that's kind of why I'm holding off. But I think in the end, we just outweigh the depth. We're just way deeper.
Yeah. For me, it's pretty simple. It's much like against NC State. It's one in the trenches. Oklahoma's offensive line is putrid dog shit. So I'm taking the Vols. I mean, this is the coming out party for James Pierce. I'm saying that right now. They can't, and they probably won't be able to stop all of them. And I think James Pierce finally gets his. And I think that's the difference in the game. We're going to force him into a turnover or 2 or 3, and our offense will look like it always looks. So I'm going with the Vols 42-17. And we have one last request to speak, Mr. Toby T. Toby, if you want to give us a prediction, a little bit of thoughts, and that's how we'll close out tonight.
Yeah, let us hear a fellow Vol fan.
Yeah. Just we let him stay on for too long. That Oklahoma nonsense.
My God, I just want to let everyone know that has been listening. I've been texting them in the group chat saying we should just get rid of this guy because he kept talking about Texas. But
yeah, here we go. Toby T, go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. 38-17 Tennessee. Tennessee gets over the road woes. I didn't know if you knew this stat or not, but Tennessee against top 15 teams on the road, we've been 0-28. We get over that hump Saturday.
I did not know that stat, but I'm not worried about it at all, to be honest. I really am not. I really think Tennessee is going to really show what they are this year. Like I said multiple times during this whole thing, is the culture seems different. This team seems different, and we'll see Saturday. Saturday's a big eye-opener for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, that stat's not too surprising with the last 15 to 20 years Tennessee football. But, I mean, even in those years, it was very, rare for Tennessee to win a game where they had to get on a plane to go to it. You're normally just beating Vanderbilt or Kentucky on the road. So, and that's changing now. So, you got anything else for us, Toby?
No, I'm good, Phyllis.
All right. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go Vols, baby.
We appreciate you listening, everybody who did. And go Vols.
Go Vols, baby. Vols by 50.
Hell yeah.
Nico for Heisman.
Don't sound for Heisman.